Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at this fascinating paper by Natarajan, Mathur, and others.
Yeah.
It's all about how humans and AI can work together, make decisions together.
It really gets into like the nitty-gritty of, how these systems can be designed.
Yeah, because it's not just about, AI doing its own thing while we just watch, right?
Right. It's way more than that. It's really about two main ways that humans and AI can kind of like interact.
Okay.
We call them human in the loop.
HIL.
Yeah, HIL.
And AI in the loop.
AI2L.
AI2L. They might sound similar, I guess, when you just hear those terms, but I think as we get into it, we'll see the differences are pretty huge.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like fundamentally different ways of thinking about, how AI can be a part of decision making.
Okay, so let's start with HIL.
Okay.
I think a really easy example is like when you're watching videos online.
Yep.
And, the platform is constantly recommending like, oh, watch this next, watch this next.
Right.
That's AI doing its thing.
For sure.
But every time you click on something,
right,
or you skip something, you're giving it feedback.
Exactly.
So you're part of that loop. You're helping that AI get better and better.
That's right. That's HIL in action.
HIL in action. All right, now let's flip over to AI2L. So what would be a good example of that?
So imagine like an AI is working with a doctor.
Okay.
To figure out the best treatment plan for a patient. Like, say, a diabetic patient with a knee injury or something.
Okay, complicated case.
Yeah. So there's a complex case.
The AI can look at all the data?
Right, it can analyze tons of data.
Yeah.
Patient history, medications, you name it.
Flag potential issues, right, like drug interactions.
Exactly, yeah, like, hey, these two medications might not be the best combo, but it's the doctor who makes the final call on the treatment plan.
That's AI2L.
Right.
The AI is a tool.
Yeah.
But the human is still in control.
The human is the ultimate decision maker. Exactly.
I like that analogy earlier. HIL is like letting the AI drive the car. Mm. And AI2L is like having like a super smart assistant.
Yeah, a co-pilot.
A co-pilot. Okay, so this difference in like who's in control.
Right.
How does that actually change the way these systems are built, like how they're used?
Well, it changes everything. It changes like from the very beginning, the design philosophy. Like, who are we building this for?
Right.
Are we building this to optimize the AI's performance?
Okay.
Or are we building this to, to serve the human's goals and needs?
That makes sense. So how about when you are evaluating these systems?
Right.
How do you actually measure how well they're doing?
Yeah.
Because those are very different things.
That's where it gets really interesting. Because like you said, very different goals. So very different ways to evaluate them.
Yeah.
With HIL systems, you're often focused on, classic metrics like accuracy.
Right.
How often does the AI get it right?
Right.
But with AI2L, it's not so simple. It's not just about whether the AI is right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's about the impact on the human decision maker.
So it's like, are they actually being more efficient?
Exactly.
Are they making better choices as a result of this?
Are they more confident in their decisions?
It's not just about the AI being smart. It's about the AI making the humans smarter.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so the paper gives some really good real-world examples to kind of illustrate these differences.
Yes, yeah, it does. It's nice to have these concrete examples.
Yeah.
So let's walk through a few.
Let's walk through a few. Let's start with medicine.
Okay. Yeah.
So early diagnosis of Alzheimer's using AI to analyze like brain scans.
Right.
The paper puts that in the automate category, which would be HAL.
Exactly, because the AI is, analyzing tons of data, looking for patterns, trying to spot those early signs of the disease.
But then when you move to like actually formulating a treatment plan for that same patient, the paper puts that in the collaborate category.
Right, which means AI2L.
AI2L. So what's the distinction there?
Well, because even though AI can be great at analyzing data, it can't replace that doctor's expertise.
Okay.
That human judgment.
So the human is still essential in that process.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, let's go to a totally different area. Let's talk about cars.
Okay.
So you've got things like route planning.
Yeah.
Versus actually driving in like a complex city environment.
Right. Two very different things.
Two very different things.
Route planning, taking traffic into account, weather, all that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much automated, right?
So that's HIL.
That's HIL, yep. But driving in a busy city with pedestrians, cyclists, unexpected situations.
Unpredictable.
Totally different.
Yeah.
That's where AI2L comes in.
Okay, so things like collision avoidance systems,
Right.
lane assist, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Those are all AI2L. They're assisting the driver.
But the human's still
But ultimately, the human is still in control.
in control, yeah. Okay, let's do one last one.
Okay.
Let's go to the world of finance.
All right.
So we've got fraud detection
Mm-hmm.
versus investment advisory.
Right. Two very different sides of finance.
It's a fraud detection where AI is analyzing transactions,
Yeah.
looking for suspicious activity.
Flagging things that need a closer look.
I'm guessing that's more on the HIL side.
It leans towards HIL. Yeah. Humans might still be involved in investigating those flags.
Right.
But that initial screening, it's mostly automated.
But then if you switch over to investment advisory,
Yeah.
where you've got a human advisor
Right.
working with a client.
Building a personal relationship, understanding their goals.
Yeah. And coming up with a financial plan.
That's classic AI2L.
AI2L.
Even if they're using AI-powered tools for market analysis,
Right.
that human advisor is still the one driving the ship.
It's about finding that right balance, right?
Exactly.
Between what the AI is capable of and what that human expertise brings.
Sometimes automation makes sense. Other times you really need that human touch.
Absolutely. Now, the paper also talks about what happens if you get this classification wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And they use this term abstraction errors.
Right. Abstraction errors.
What are those?
So it's this danger of oversimplifying a complex situation
Okay.
by treating it as HIL when it should really be AI2L.
Okay.
It's you're missing those crucial human factors.
Can you give me a real world example?
Yeah. So imagine an AI system
Yeah.
that's supposed to regulate a really complex system.
Yeah.
Like the human body.
Okay.
It can analyze all the data, vital signs, blood work, all that.
Can it really understand all the nuances of human physiology?
Right. Can it truly grasp what it means to be human?
And make good clinical decisions without human oversight?
That's the question.
That's a big question. So how do we figure out if a particular task is better suited for HIL versus AI2L?
Well, the authors have a really interesting way of thinking about it.
Okay.
They talk about zooming in and zooming out.
Zooming in and zooming out. What do they mean by that?
So imagine you're looking at a very specific task,
Okay.
like identifying potential drug interactions for a patient.
Okay, very specific.
Very specific.
So you're zooming in on that.
You're zooming in.
Got it.
That kind of narrow problem might be perfect for HIL.
Okay.
The AI can excel at that kind of focused analysis.
But if you zoom out and you look at the broader challenge
Yeah.
of making an overall medical diagnosis, taking everything into account,
Right. The patient's history, lifestyle, individual circumstances.
it requires something different.
That requires AI2L.
AI2L. You need that human doctor to put it all together.
You need that human judgment.
So it's about understanding the level of complexity
Yeah.
and choosing the right approach.
It's not one size fits all. Sometimes it's letting the AI take the reins. Sometimes it's about empowering the human.
Now, this leads to a really interesting point they make about the future of AI, especially with these super powerful foundation models.
Yeah, these things are amazing, but
They're amazing, but they still have limitations when it comes to true AI2L collaboration.
right, because as powerful as they are, they're still lacking a deep understanding of human goals,
Okay.
beliefs, uncertainties. They can process information, generate output, but they can't truly grasp the nuances of human reasoning.
They need a theory of mind
Exactly.
to really be a good partner.
To understand why we make the choices we do.
Yeah.
To anticipate our needs.
And to offer suggestions that are not just accurate, but
Yeah.
aligned with our values.
Contextually appropriate.
Yeah, that's a really important point. So this is fascinating, and there's obviously so much more to unpack here.
Oh, yeah. We've just scratched the surface.
We've just scratched the surface.
There's a lot more to explore.
So we're going to continue this deep dive in part 2.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll dig deeper into these challenges and opportunities, talk about new evaluation methods, all that good stuff. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. As we kind of dig deeper into this whole, human in the loop versus AI in the loop thing.
AI2L.
AI2L, yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes super clear that it's not just about, technical differences between these systems.
Right.
It's really about different ways of thinking about, the relationship between humans and AI.
And those different ways of thinking have like big implications, right? For how we design these systems, how we evaluate them, how we actually use them in the real world.
Exactly, yeah. Like, the authors are really pushing for this shift away from those traditional ways of evaluating AI, where we just focus on things like how accurate it is.
Right. Speed, accuracy.
Speed, efficiency.
All that stuff.
Which, those things are fine, if you're talking about like a pure HIL system.
Yeah.
But when you bring the human into the loop, like an AI2L,
right,
those metrics don't tell the whole story.
Because it's not just about the AI being good, it's about the AI making the human better.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we need to start asking different questions.
Like what? What kind of questions?
Instead of asking, is the AI accurate?
Right.
We should be asking, is the AI making the human more effective?
Okay.
Is it helping them make better decisions,
Yeah.
more informed decisions?
Yeah, so how do we measure that? Because it sounds a lot more complicated than just like, calculating a percentage or whatever.
It is more complicated,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. But there are methods out there.
Okay.
The authors talk about things like ablation studies.
Ablation studies.
Yeah.
Remind me what that is.
So basically, you systematically remove different components of the system,
Okay.
and you see how it affects the outcome.
Okay.
So you might, remove the AI's input at a certain stage,
Okay.
or you might limit the amount of information that the human have access to,
I see.
and you see how it impacts the overall decision-making process.
So you're basically pulling out different pieces.
Right.
And seeing what breaks.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out which parts are really essential,
Okay.
which parts might be hindering the human,
Right.
introducing unintended consequences, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're trying to understand that interaction between the human and the AI.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's one way to evaluate these systems. What else do we need to be thinking about?
Well, another really crucial point is transparency.
Transparency.
Yeah, if you're going to ask a human to trust an AI,
Right.
to collaborate with it, they need to have some understanding of how it works.
Okay, so not the full technical details.
No. Not like everybody needs to become an AI programmer.
Right.
But, enough information so they can understand,
Yeah.
the AI's reasoning process.
Okay, so the AI gives a suggestion.
Yeah,
And the human can kind of understand, okay, how did you arrive at that?
exactly.
Right.
What factors did you consider? What are your limitations?
So they can make an informed decision about whether to trust that suggestion.
Right. It's about building trust.
And it's about that partnership, right?
It's about partnership, exactly.
Where the human and the AI can both learn from each other and get better over time.
And along with transparency, the authors also talk about the importance of designing these systems for interaction.
Interaction.
Yeah, it's not enough to just have the AI spit out a result.
Okay.
You want to create a system where the human can, ask questions,
Yeah, okay.
explore different scenarios, challenge the AI suggestions.
It's like having a back and forth, a conversation with the AI.
Exactly, like a dialogue.
Where you can bounce ideas off each other.
And arrive at a solution that neither of you could have come up with on your own.
That's pretty powerful.
It is powerful, yeah. And we also need to think about generalizability.
Generalizability.
We don't want these systems to be, stuck in a narrow little box.
Right.
We want AI that could adapt to new situations, handle unexpected challenges.
Evolve alongside human needs, right?
Exactly. That's where the real synergy lies.
Combining the AI's computational power
Yeah.
with human creativity and adaptability.
That ability to think outside the box, to connect the dots in ways that AI can't quite grasp yet.
That's a good point. So it sounds like the authors are really advocating for a future where AI doesn't just automate things away,
Right.
but actually makes us smarter, more capable.
Augments human intelligence. That's the goal.
But are we doing enough to get there? I mean, are we actually building these systems that empower human expertise
That's the question.
instead of just replacing it?
Yeah. Are we investing in the right research and the right development?
Are we having these conversations?
Yeah. And the authors are really urging us to think about those broader implications.
To carefully analyze, okay, does this task really benefit from automation?
Right.
Or should we be taking more of a collaborative AI2L approach?
And it's not always obvious. Sometimes the answer depends on how you're looking at the problem.
Zooming in, zooming out, right?
Exactly. Zooming in might reveal opportunities for automation, but zooming out might highlight the need for that human judgment.
So it's nuanced.
It's nuanced, yeah.
Ah.
It's not a simple black and white answer.
This paper has given us so much to think about.
It really has, yeah.
And it feels like this whole, HIL versus AI too well conversation, it's just getting started.
That's just the beginning,
But it's exciting, right? Because as AI keeps getting better, we're going to have to keep evolving our understanding of how to best work with it.
And the authors leave us with this really important reminder.
Okay.
As we move toward this future, we have a responsibility to make sure AI is used to enhance human capabilities, not diminish them.
To create a world where both humans and AI can thrive together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a powerful idea that we're not just, building these algorithms. We're actually shaping the future, where humans and AI are going to be working together in ways that I think we can only just start to imagine right now.
Yeah. And to get there, they highlight a few key areas where we need more research. Especially when it comes to AI2L systems, the ones that are really going to help us be smarter. One of those is building better models of how humans think.
Right. If you want the AI to be a real partner, it can't just be about crunching numbers. It needs to have a deeper understanding of how we humans think and reason and make decisions.
Yeah, it's got to understand context, intuition, even those leaps of logic we make sometimes. It's got to understand all that.
Right. All the messy but kind of brilliant ways that our minds work. Imagine an AI that could not only process information, but actually grasp those unspoken assumptions we make, the gut feelings, all those things that often lead to our best decisions.
That would be amazing. That would be a game changer.
Total game changer. And the authors talk about another really interesting area for future research, which is how do we interact with AI?
Yeah, because right now it's a lot of screens, keyboards.
Right. It's very mechanical.
But what if we could communicate with AI more naturally?
What if it was more like having a conversation?
Yeah, back and forth. Instead of typing in commands, imagine using gestures, voice, maybe even brain-computer interfaces, down the road.
That would be incredible, to be able to work with AI on these complex tasks in such a seamless way. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
But as we give AI more and more responsibility in these AI2L systems, we have to make sure that the outcomes are good for everyone.
Right. It can't just be about efficiency or innovation for its own sake.
It's got to be about making sure that AI is used in a way that aligns with our values, that contributes to a more fair and equitable society for everyone.
This paper doesn't give us all the answers, but it gives us a framework for asking the right questions.
I like that, asking the right questions.
Yeah. It encourages us to think deeply about, the potential impact of the choices that we're making. To prioritize those AI systems that are really going to enhance human capabilities, not replace them.
It's a call to action for all of us, not just for researchers or developers, but for everyone. We have a chance to build a future where humans and AI can thrive together.
It's a pretty amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
But it requires us to be thoughtful, to be responsible.
And to never forget what makes us human.
Exactly.
So as you go about your day, think about the role you want AI to play in your life, in your work, in the world around you. Are we building systems that empower us, or are we slowly becoming the tools? That's a question worth thinking about.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into human in the loop versus AI in the loop systems. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of knowledge.